G'day mates, in today's video I'm going to be giving my thoughts on is chapter 4 good or not. I made a wish list at the end of chapter 3, you guys love these videos and I've never done this before. I'm going to go back and compare what we got in chapter 4 to what we wished for and decide is chapter 4 actually good. Let's jump into it. Let's kick off with the weapons, and I and a lot of people really just wanted a more diverse loot pool, and I think we have gotten that. If you look at the assault rifles, we have the regular AR, which is now the SCAR. It's probably my least favorite weapon, or one of my least favorite weapons of the chapter. Unfortunately, it just doesn't feel like the old SCAR. The blue mono just does not work for me unless it's like epic or gold rarity, and then it does start to feel a bit more solid. We did get the red eye AR, which I think is a really good addition to the game. It's great for competitive. It's great if you have really good aim or you want to sit back and play a bit more passive but hit your shots, but it's not super OP doing like 100 damage headshots or anything crazy. So I do think it is great for the game. It's also pretty terrible hip fire, so it has that trade-off in strength versus weakness if you want to run it. If you don't run a fast fire shotgun or have a backup weapon like a pistol or an SMG, you're just not going to be hitting a lot of shots hip fire. So I do really like this AR. We got the DMR back, one of my least favorite weapons in the game. Again, I don't know why Epic adds weapons that aren't hit scan, meaning the bullet has to travel, that aren't snipers. They're just almost never worth using, and out of that, 2 out of the 3 ARs not being very good, you'd think I wouldn't enjoy the meta, but I think it's because they really balanced the SMGs and pistols this season. They've probably made the pistol a little bit too strong, if anything. Like in arena and pubs, I am not carrying an assault rifle. I am always running pistol, shotgun, hammer, double meds, or SMG, shotgun, hammer, double meds. I'm almost never running an AR, and then if I'm gonna play competitive, I'm gonna run the red eye because it's just really solid. So I do overall like the loot pool right now. Shotguns, I think they have done a good job of making a diverse shotgun loot pool. There's really only 2 shotguns, but they serve very different purposes, and I don't hate it being that simplified. You have the Thunder Pump shotgun if you want to hit a hard-hitting shotgun. They've recently patched it so it pulls out nice and quick. It feels fluid to use. Honestly, I feel like mechanically when I'm using this shotgun, I can pull it out and shoot just as fast, if not faster than the regular spaz. So I really like this weapon. As far as the Maven, I don't use the Maven too much, but I think having a solid fast firing shotgun is really good for the game, especially for casuals. It really helps them out have that kind of more close range battle. If they're going to miss their shots, it gives them a little bit more forgiveness to hit more shots after that. So I do like the shotgun loot pool right now. Now, we also asked for side grading. Unfortunately, didn't really get that, but with the way the loot pool works currently, I don't think side grading would work that much. Maybe side grading from a Maven to a Thunder or vice versa could be cool, but with a pretty small loot pool that's really solid, I don't think side grading is as important as what I thought it was going to be. I did want to see armored walls and bounce pads return. I'm a little bit sad they didn't. We currently have nothing in the trap slot. I really think armored walls and bounce pads should be in like every single meta. I think they should just be staples of Fortnite at this point. The one major thing I wanted with this weapon loot pool was fun mobility. I wanted some unique or some old fun mobility in the game, and we definitely got that with the Shockwave Hammer. I am really enjoying the Shockwave Hammer. They're slowly balancing it over time. In competitive right now, it's in a weird spot. I get why pros or some players wouldn't like it because it's a bit crazy. It does create a lot of chaos, but personally for me right now, watching competitive, it is so incredibly fun watching the end games with this item in the game, and I think it's pretty fair for who gets them around the map. Most players will get 1 to 2 each game, and I ultimately think they're more balanced than shockwaves, and people think I'm crazy for that. I know they're infinite and they recharge, but not being able to throw it so you can't throw it at players on high ground or low ground and knock them out, not as easily being able to rotate with you and your teammate if you only have one of them. I just think honestly they are a more balanced version of shockwaves, and I really do hope they stay in competitive. If they need to balance them more and more, we have a patch coming out on Tuesday so you can't hit players through walls with the hammer. I would like to see it just balanced more and more. Maybe in competitive, the left click ability is just taken away altogether. Maybe the recharge on it is even slower if it's a little bit too strong. I would really like to see this weapon nerfed more and more rather than vaulted, because it will be a staple, or it will be a kind of a fixture, a center point of this season that'll make it really memorable. As far as the Excalibur rifle, since they nerfed it, it is so much better in competitive. Those few days of just people spamming Excaliburs like they were RPGs was a little bit miserable, but I really think both these items are getting close to being in a great spot for competitive. Now, the next big one, the map. I really wanted more diverse biomes. I wanted areas of the map to feel and look significantly different, and I think we definitely got that. Between the snow areas to now having the medieval vibes, I really think the map does feel and look really, really nice. I did want to see the vault stick around, but I wanted there to be bosses again for you to get the key to get into the vault. I particularly like that. I know a lot of people liked getting the keys around the map because it felt like it was just a bit more luck and a little bit less guaranteed who gets it, but I loved the way the POIs fought out when there was a boss to get a key. It kind of added that extra element of like capture the flag, and it made it really fun how you could play around that at each unique POI. But honestly, I don't feel like the map needs vaults. I just think they would have been nice. As far as old POIs coming on the new map, I think a lot of people were expecting this map to be like a combination of the 3 previous maps, and I was hoping that only maybe like 10-15% of the map was actually old POIs or old areas, but it looks like we got none of them. I'm guessing some POIs are going to be added throughout the season. A lot of people expecting that we're going to have like, you know, Steamy Stacks come back because there was an audio file for it. A lot of people thinking Tilted is frozen in the snow again. I guess we'll have to see how it plays out, but as long as we only get a few old maps and they keep making these new fun POIs, I'm going to be really on board with that. I really wanted more permanent mobility around the map, but I didn't want it to be the big mobility like balloons. It just felt way too cheesy holding balloons, especially in no builds, and they've done a good job of that. I think because of the hammer, the map doesn't personally need that much mobility right now, and because they also have the all the vehicles in the map, the cars being back with augments and also the motorbikes right now really makes it feel good for getting around the map. You can't just fly around the map never touching the ground, but you can get from place A to place B if you don't get a good zone. Also, the way the kind of slipstream, like, you know, wind tunnels are around the map is creating some pretty cool end games for competitive. Some of them I imagine are going to be frustrating. If we have an end game finish directly in one of those wind tunnels, it's going to be hilarious but very annoying. But for now, I really like them. I did want to see way less cooler spawns. I feel like the splash meta last season in competitive just led teams to be sitting in zone for just 10 minutes at a time, just splashing each other. It felt ridiculous. They have done that, which is great. I'm seeing way less splashes around the map. I did, of course, ask for 100% chest spawn as well. We didn't get 100% chest spawn. We did have 100% chest spawn on the god chest. They've now nerfed that down to 70, which is one of the only things I wasn't a huge fan of in the recent update. I think going back to 100% chest spawn in competitive just has almost no downsides for the game. I know they took it out as an attempt to stop teaming in solo FNCS because teams were splitting drops, but that still happens. So I feel like we can go back to having no or less RNG on spawn, and we're still going to have that issue of teaming. That didn't solve the problem. So I would like to see 100% chest spawn come back, but I'm getting used to the game without it. We can't really judge this one just yet off we've seen, but I really did want to see more constant content updates, specifically maybe every 2 to 3 weeks having some kind of a decent map change. I know a lot of comp players will not be a huge fan of that because it means their POI changes or there's new POIs, but honestly, I really think last season was fine with the way they were changing the map throughout the season. It created more of a fun storyline following competitive. I know pro players are always going to get annoyed if their POI gets ruined or it gets moved, but that's always been a fixture of Fortnite, and I think it has been a more exciting element of Fortnite. It creates more storylines. It does reward those players who can adapt. It's less about just a team picking the best drop at the start of the season and somehow getting it unconned and now they win the whole season. I did like that element of the map changing, and I hope that's going to continue in this season. It looks like with the map potentially melting with POIs being exposed in the ice, it looks like there's going to be some kind of a rift event with these rifts that keep happening around the map. They'll probably bring in a POI, so I think we are going to get some decent map changes. As far as content updates, we already have Winterfest update coming out in a few days, and we have the My Hero Academia All Might update coming out on Friday. That's 2 major content updates in a single week, only 2 weeks into a new season, when we've already just had a massive balance change update that didn't even happen on an update night, and Fortnite properly communicated it, which was the next point I wanted to make. I really wanted to see Fortnite step up their communication, not just tell us what's happening, but tell us why it's happening. And so far, I think Fortnite is having one of the best starts to a chapter or a season as far as communication and balance changes go that we have almost ever seen in Fortnite. Now, so far, this has all been happy days, lovey-dovey, positive. It does get a little bit more negative here, but this is around the arena system and also competitive. So arena rework, I really wanted to see them take arena one of two directions. Either finally make it competitive, give it proper rewards, a proper system that unlocks tournaments and make people really have a reason to grind it and take it seriously, or go back to making it a bit more fun. You know, give it a bit more points per kill, make sure it's fast queue times, you know, still need champs division for tournaments, but not as serious. Unfortunately, they changed nothing. Arena is exactly the same. You only need 2,000 points. Only 3 or 4 days into the season, I'm already getting 5-minute queue times on NA West at like 5,000 points at 7 p.m. at night, like a pretty, you know, key time to be playing games. So that's a little bit unfortunate. As far as the competitive, we really did want to see the game mode change from duos. I feel like most people were feeling in either solo or trio FNCS. We didn't really get that for whatever reason. I mean, if they stick to duos because it's the purpose of, you know, elevating Fortnite as a competitive esport, it qualifies for LAN events, I can get behind that, but they haven't announced that just yet, so I guess we'll see. We didn't have a preseason, which for a new chapter you'd hope not, but that's a plus. I really wanted to see some kind of crowd-funded tournament this season. We've talked about this for a while. A skin that gets added at the start of every season, all the money that goes from buying that skin goes towards a massive tournament at the end of that season, like a Winter Royale vibe. Not just going to the top tier pros like an FNCS, like a tournament for the community to reward them for their input into that tournament. I feel like that would be really cool. We might get that, but I still doubt it. I really wanted to see the end of the 2-round cash cups, unless it was the FNCS game mode, like maybe duo cash cups or 2 rounds to build those storylines, give players practice playing in set lobbies for FNCS, but maybe solo and trios would go back to 1 round, so we get to watch those W key lobbies a little bit more. It feels a bit more accessible to a casual audience. It looks like we're still gonna have 2-round solo cash cups, so I guess Fortnite didn't really go with that one. I do want to see more skin cups, which we might have more of those throughout the season. We just don't know yet. More console separate tourneys. It looks like console is unfortunately gonna just have the console champions cup and the PlayStation cups. Nothing else was announced. I would really like to see those skin cups and quick cups separated for console. Not for the purpose of, you know, giving console players free skins, but just so console players can verse other console players more often to gauge their own skill against people on an equal platform. I don't see why not. It's just a skin cup and a quick cup. It's not an FNCS. Pros aren't losing prize money. I just think it makes more sense for the console community. I would love to see daily tournaments come back, especially maybe around the Christmas break when more kids aren't at school, to really keep those tournaments pumping and get a lot of people into competitive Fortnite. And I want them to actually have a prize pool, not just be the lightning cups. I'd love to see some more fun LTM cups, like the Flora's Lava LTMs, or even Fresh and Laser Beam's crazy Flint Knock tournament. Just those kind of fun tournaments would be really, really good. And I did want to see the end of the divisional cups. I just think they're too confusing and there's too much of a build up for not enough of a payoff. It looks like they've now made the divisional cups kind of a stepping stone to FNCS, so that could make them more exciting, and we haven't fully heard exactly what Fortnite's plan is for FNCS, so I guess we'll see. I'll leave that one as a to be seen about whether I'm gonna now enjoy the divisional cups more than I did last season when they didn't really do anything. I really wanted to see Epic step things up with controller functionality in Chapter 4. Right now, with all the new mechanics more and more being added to the game, aim assist in the state that it's at, mouse and keyboard is just pulling more and more ahead of controller as an input, and a lot of controller pros and players are switching to mouse and keyboard. It's not the end of the world, but a lot of those players would rather just quit the game than switch input, and I really think it wouldn't be too hard to add some more functionality for controller. Unfortunately, it looks like with Chapter 4 it got even worse. Pro players and a lot of players having to unbind their emote, their binds, their maps, just so they can fit this new augment bind, when it would so easily be able to make functionality to have a bind where maybe you press it to bring out your augment menu, but you hold it down to emote, something like that. Like just little things to help controller players. I would love to see scope sensitivity options for controller players, potentially single button reset when it comes to editing. I know that would add another button, so we'd have to see how that one plays out. I do still want to see long range aim assist buffed a little bit as well. It looks like with the red eye AR, it's not too bad in the current comp meta, but it's not as strong as what the burst AR was with range aim assist. It looks like long range aim assist is still pretty rough. If you're on controller, you are going to be at a disadvantage to other mouse and keyboard players when it comes to getting Storm Surge. that pretty much sums up most my thoughts about the current chapter. I really am loving it. This season has been my favorite season, I think, since about mid chapter 2. I love the end of chapter 2 competitively, but as far as playing the game myself, I have not had this much fun playing the game since chapter 2. And watching tournaments so far, we've only had a few smaller third-party tournaments, but with the Placement Cup this Thursday and Friday, I am so excited for Fortnite's future. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please chuck a like on it, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and I'll see you in the next one.